When did your body betray you? I turned 29 this year. A few weeks ago, I noticed that getting up in the middle of the night to pee is a nightly occurrence. Since then, I've tried limiting my water consumption 30 minutes before bed. Then an hour. Now an hour and a half. I still get up in the middle of the night to pee no matter what. Edit. Thank you all for the concern. Put my appendix on the left side. Dr. 1, that's a FK'd up looking appendix. Dr. 2, Jesus. It's huge. Let's get it out of the poor bastard. Removes liver. At 21, I learned I am a literal mutant. But instead of it giving me cool superpowers, my body develops tumors. Edit to add. It's an SDHB mutation. Massive brain aneurysm. Right out the blue. At 25 years old, I had my first ever seizure. It was a 10-minute grand mal seizure. In a restaurant. No less. Almost 14 years later. Numerous med combos. Dozens of seizures. Side effects. And a brain surgery later. No answers. It sucks to know there is no cure. Side effects are monstrous. And people don't understand BC, you don't look sick. But after they hear the words epilepsy or seizure disorder, let me tell you. You've never seen people run so fast. However, I am currently 23 months seizure free on my current med combo. I have maintained my career successfully over the last 16 years and I am going back for my second master's degree program in January. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. My joints randomly dislocate. Just yesterday, I dislocated my sternum. Yes, that's a thing. Earlier this week, I subluxated my left shoulder and my left hip. On different instances. A few months before turning 24. Woke up blind on one eye. Halloween. 2014. Felt great. Getting ready to go to work when suddenly I'm puking. Puke for 3 days. Have been nauseous for 6 years now. Waves of intensity. But it's never gone. About 4x a year. I have 3-day long puke fests. Randomly throw up. 2. Wear a transderm patch and a relief band all day. Every day. To be minimally functional. Survive on ginger ale. I don't even like ginger ale. Homo. And my body won't tell the doctors what the hell is wrong with me. So no diagnosis. On the plus side, if you need some tricks for calming down nausea, please ask. I know them all. When I used to do a lot of long distance cycling, I would do some leg training in the winter so I'm ready by spring. Well, one time after doing a workout, I couldn't get up from the toilet. Like my legs just stopped working. It was pretty bad. I discovered at 19 that I have a gene mutation that causes random melanoma tumors in my body. I'm 37 and I've had cancer 8 times. My meat suit is a dumpster fire. Midway through a lobster dinner, when it decided I should now be allergic to shellfish. It developed allergies of outrageously tasty foods after years and years of consuming and enjoying them. A year ago I had a slight head cold and flew home for Christmas. My ear was clogged and wouldn't pop. I landed and still couldn't get it to pop. 3 specialist visits later. They're like, yeah, something is messed up but we don't know how to fix it. Living with an ear that won't pop is a special kind of hell. I can do neti pots or have a great yawn where it will be clear for a couple seconds but then it just closes again. There is nothing more terrifying than a doctor telling you they don't know what something is. I had that happen with a rash on my leg. Went in to show the doctor. She didn't know what it was so she kept prescribing me all this cream. It got so big, dark and itchy. She finally took a picture and sent it to a doctor in Ottawa. It was a fungal infection. That happened 2 years ago and I still have discoloration on my skin. Respiratory illness. You don't know what you have until you suddenly can't even breathe. I love eating apples, pears, and cherries until I became allergic at age 22. Mild symptoms including an itchy throat means it is no longer worth the taste. Sad times. That feeling when you're so tired that you can't get comfortable and you just spent a few hours rolling around going MRRRMPH. HRRRRNG. MRARR. When my immune system thought it was cool to tell my pancreas to stop producing insulin. When I became a resident of Diabetesville. When my T cells started attacking my brain matter and spinal myelin. Suck a bag of dicks. Multiple sclerosis. I was a functioning alcoholic for a long time. To my detriment. I became quite good at hiding my drinking. That is. Until the alcoholic pancreatitis. The swollen liver. And the 50 back when I was brought to the hospital. Addiction isn't a joke. That all was 8+ years ago. I'm laying here right now with 35 staples in my abdomen because they had to open me up to get rid of scar tissue from a previous surgery to get rid of scar tissue. It's an endless cycle that's been going on about 8 years now. On Monday when I lifted my 105 pounds Lab St. Bernard mix into the back of my truck. Along with his 80-pound sister. Come to think of it. That may actually be when I betrayed my body. Me and a similarly disabled friend spoke about this months back. We covered. They said that the difference between disabled and non-disabled people really boils down to this. Abled people can trust their body. They can trust it to have energy. To fight off sickness. For the kidneys or heart or lungs to work. And many disabled people don't have that luxury. They have to be constantly ready for it to break down. It's like driving a schmobile on an empty highway and just praying you make it to the next gas station. They said that was the most infuriating thing about the COVID response. That so many people took their body's vigor for granted. At some point during puberty my body decided it would be cool to grow extra thick hair on my butt cheeks. 8 gang. Edit. Balding on top. Got that natural monk ring going. But woolly like a mammoth from the neck down. It's been systematically betraying me since forever lol. I was born with a small birth defect where my ankle bone didn't separate properly or had some kind of extra bone. Don't remember specifics. But we didn't find out until after years of ankle pain, usually thought to just be sprains. A massive cyst formed over top of it and displaced my nerves. I had surgery at 16 to remove the whole mess. Post-surgery. I suffered opiate withdrawals and barely slept for weeks. Last year. I developed fibromyalgia. So I wake up every morning feeling like I just got out of a car crash. These last 2 months. I had some kind of persistent vomiting for a good while. Still having trouble eating. Still haven't figured it out. And. Oh yeah. On top of that. My body regrew the ankle bone coalition that was removed 4 years ago. I think I killed my body's father in a past life. Every time my stomach growls in a quiet classroom. I have a horrible tendency to shitty when I am stressed. I played in a rugby 10s tournament where I had 5 matches a day and I shat my brains out before every match. This has never left me. My first job in a new country was in a call center. I was wearing my shitty suit and walked into the lobby. The first step I let out a fart. It was not a fart. FCK. I ignore the receptionist saying hello and find a loo on the right. My pants heavy. I stumble over. ID pants myself and take off my shitty heavy underwear. There is a ledge above the bog so I put my sodden underwear on the ledge. Head out to deal with the dehumanizing experience that is a call center. The day went well. With my member chaffing on my cheap suit pants. I remembered to go collect my shame in the loo but alas some poor bastard beat me to it. I had a cat for 14 years. Never sneezed once because of her. After she died. I became allergic to cats. Oh. And my lower back every time I get out of bed in the morning. Also my knees. And my left shoulder. Woe is me. The day I was born. It's only gone downhill from there. Edit to quote the actual quote. It all began on the day of my actual birth. Both of my parents failed to show up. Well, I'm a dwarf. So, probably that. Having a hide and seek Nerf game with friends. I am in the basement behind the shelf. All of the sudden I'll let out the loudest, longest, smelliest fart I have ever had. They heard. I lost. I'm a proud disabled veteran. I'm also a proud, sassy Irish lass who just happens to have a congenital brain malformation. Had major brain surgery for this. Part of my skull was removed. And another part was removed to use as a patch for the first spot. I've also had 2 strokes. I have fibromyalgia. I have debilitating migraines. All of those won me a prize in the health sweepstakes. Lem tell ya. That's nothing compared to leukemia. I've had that since 2012. It's indefinite. My sidekick. We go through things together. Not the life partner I was looking for. Anyone want to join us? There's room for 3. Most days are good. Some ain't so great. Regardless, I try to make the best out of every situation. Come along for the Zanny ride. Lactose intolerance and irritable bowel syndrome. Body hair where it ought not be. Zits. And random pains for no reason. Stairs. When you think about not falling down the stairs while going down one, you get this irrational fear and it becomes much harder to do so. One morning I woke up and had lost control of my eyes. Each eye was doing its own thing. I got to spend 3 days in the hospital, have a CT scan, an MRI, and a visit with a specialist to have everyone shrug at me. Eventually they settled down on their own and are working together as a team again. I have hyperhidrosis of the scalp and face. Means I sweat profusely at the slightest change of temp. Hate it. It has slowly started to betray me with weak joints. Banana allergy. Eczema and sudden loss of feeling in my hands. That also makes me drop things, all at the young age of 27. But it has been like this for the last 5+ years. Can't imagine what my body will be like in my 80s. I thought the sugar-free gummy bears thing was just the Haribo brand. I felt pretty betrayed on the toilet. 25. I started throwing out my back to the point of not being able to walk frequently. I have moderate scoliosis. Chiropractors and weightlifting saved me and now I'm better in my body at 34 than I was in my early 20s. Take care of your back and build strength, youths. Side note. If you're a woman who is insecure about your weight, just know that crash dieting will weaken you and it's way worse on your joints to be weak than it is to be a little tubby but strong AF. Lifting won't bulk you without extraordinary effort. Of course a healthy weight is good. But don't mistake thinness above all else with health or happiness. Early March this year, when I experienced subchorionic hemorrhaging and I lost my baby girl. Test results showed she was perfect. When I got a blood clot in my ovarian vein and ended up on blood thinners, which caused me to bleed too much, made me seriously anemic, and eventually led to hysterectomy. Love cats. I had a hernia in my belly button. It's pretty common in men and I'm not the first in my family to have one. I was never small but I wasn't severely overweight either. Months of sitting around, not being able to lift until surgery, and more months of not moving or lifting after the surgery. I'm getting my weight back down but it's slow and hard. When I was at the dentist to extract my wisdom teeth, I got so nervous during the procedure, even though there was no pain due to the anesthetics, that my legs started shaking uncontrollably. It was very embarrassing. Had mine removed a couple years ago. They gave me laughing gas, but it barely had any effect. The anesthetics made it painless, but I could feel them pushing and pulling, and hear the crunching. I'm a woman, and I have 3 man hairs that grow on my chin. They're what would be beard hair if I was a guy. I pull them out whenever I notice them but they keep coming back. Had a crush on a girl in JR. Hi. That summer I saw her at the lake. In a bikini. I was staring and she saw me and came over to say hello. Needless to say, my body betrayed me. In a very obvious way. To her credit, she played it off pretty well. Multiple times when I was 14-16 years old. I just couldn't pee in public bathrooms or in situations with a line of people waiting to use the bathroom. Just picture it by yourself. My body is a pile of shit regardless. It was a dark and stormy day in 7th grade. The teacher reading off a list of names to see who presents next. She is getting closer and closer to my name and I am fighting to stay awake. And I hear it. Severings use 691, please present your slideshow. I go up and start listening off facts of God knows what, and then I notice. Everyone seems to be focusing on me and giggling. I look down and there it is. A boner. I thought, how could I be betrayed by my own body? I developed asthma. Also, when I've had to draw blood from someone as part of my training. My hands decide to shake horribly. I get nervous, but I've always had a successful draw without damaging the patient's arm. I'm not scared of needles or blood or having my own blood drawn. But I just can't control the shaking when I go to collect a blood specimen. I have no issues when giving injections. Even intradermal, which can be tricky. Alopecia. Autoimmune disease that makes all your hair fall out. Could be a hell of a lot worse. But I've had so many people tell me how lucky I am for finding my husband that still wanted to marry me even without hair. Shit mentally hurts. My wife asked me if I am interested in going to a HIIT session with her. I told her, please. That would be too easy for me. I was pretty dizzy after 17 minutes of HIIT. And she had to drive us home. Never really betrayed me so much as never let me have expectations in the first place. But my biggest irritation was when my thyroid issue worsened to the point where it FK'd with my blood pressure, causing me to have trouble properly regulating my body temperature. Not the end of the world, but I had to stop jogging outdoors because the cool air resistance from my running in combination with my stretched breathing was enough to cause my body temperature to drop drastically 5 minutes into a run. And that's after my knee issues forced me to give up on sprinting and intense aerobic exercise. When my pancreas gave up. When I was 12 years old and it decided to start slowly growing a very large tumor throughout my teenage years. This was not a solid tumor. It grew off a vein and was filled with blood, which went septic over time. By the time I was old enough to see a doctor on my own and defy my family doctor, who convinced my parents that I was just an overdramatic teen girl, the tumor had grown to 3 pounds and done permanent damage to several organs. Has Tourette's syndrome. When it decided to piss my pants standing in front of a toilet. Years ago I went to this music festival with a lot of day drinking. As I was leaving I had to pee. But the porta potty lines were really long. So I decided to hold it in until I got back to my apartment. The train ride was fine for the most part. But by the time I got to my stop I had to go really bad. Still had a 10-minute walk to my apartment. But I figured I could make it if I just walked really fast. As I reach my front door I get a sense of relief that I made it. But I was really about to burst. So I hurried through and ran to the bathroom. I get there and as I'm unzipping my pants, my body decides it can't take it anymore, starts peeing. I was literally standing in front of my toilet and still managed to piss myself. Luckily there was nobody around. But I am still really embarrassed that happened to me. Aloe gel make pee-pee burn. Ibs. Every f-king opportunity it gets. Nervous? Get thee to a shter. Dodgy breakfast? Get thee to a shter. In a nice suit? Get thee to a shter. Every time you want to just enjoy existing, your body will be a dick about it. When I went from a kind of active child that loved going outside to pain-filled days with health issues and hating going outside because it makes everything worse, I'm lucky to have a manageable day where I can get on my phone or even listen to music for a little while. From birth pretty much. Hypermobile joints, loose tendons and incredibly tight muscles. Halfway down a run while snowboarding, my legs decided that nope, we are too tired to finish this last run and buckled. Hurt like a bitch falling, and I still had to get the rest of the way down the mountain and back to my car. I cried a bit and my BF told me that we could walk, but it would suck way more than riding. Sciatica even though I'm only 15. As well as psoriasis, arthritis, and possibly the beginnings of glaucoma. Small boobs. Gluten sensitivity. Forgive. Never forget. Nothing wrong with small boobs. Each and every single time whenever there is a presentation. Pre-puberty and during I was pretty athletic. I was a great swimmer who was able to rake in medal and ribbons everywhere for everything. Post-puberty my athletic ability disappeared. It was pretty disheartening. As a transgender person, I'm going to say, every day. Found out I couldn't have kids when I was 27. Bro, I shitted myself like 20 minutes ago at an Applebee's in the booth. It was raw. I developed stomach ulcers pretty much out of nowhere. They came and went for about 2 months. And would only last for about a day. It was the worst pain I've ever experienced. Kept me up all night sometimes, and I spent over 6 hours at the hospital each time I went.